Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Vaughn Biggs, and let's queer up health. Republican governor blocks a bill protecting PrEP users from insurance discrimination. Virginia's Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin has vetoed a bill that would have prevented insurance companies from discriminating against people taking PrEP, the HIV prevention medication. The bill, HB 2769, explicitly stated that insurers could not refuse coverage, limit policies, or change higher rates solely because someone takes PrEP. The measure passed both chambers of Virginia's Democratic-led General Assembly with a 24-15 vote in the Senate and a 53-44 in the House. Youngkin's veto was part of what the Virginia Mercury called a, quote, veto storm to drown out progressive legislation, end quote. In total, he rejected 157 bills, including one that would have raised the state's minimum wage to $15 an hour and another aimed at increasing voter turnout. His education policies have been accused for targeting trans students by enforcing forced misgendering, outing policies, and allowing peers to opt out of gender-inclusive spaces. Youngkin stated in 2021 he did not support same-sex marriage, but later he signed a bill in 2024 codifying it in the Virginia law. His veto of House Bill 2769, however, raises concerns about continued barriers to HIV prevention and LGBTQ healthcare protections. You know, it's just, as much as I'm involved with HIV treatment and prevention, it's disheartening to see that Governor Youngkin's veto of House Bill 2769, which would have protected PrEP users from insurance discrimination, this decision not only undermines efforts to prevent HIV, but also highlights the ongoing challenges that our LGBTQ plus individuals face in accessing equitable health care. We must continue to advocate for policies that protect our community's health and well-being. And I just see, you know, when I think about this and I think about PrEP, and I know PrEP is not the only answer to end the HIV epidemic, but when I look at them trying to use it as an insurance way to maybe not cover someone, are they doing the same thing? And there's no women at the table, and I wish there was, but when we're talking about, you know, going on birth control, are we not going to be, you know, insuring them because of the risk of pregnancy? Are we not, you know, are people taking Viagra? You know, are we not going to, you know, issue protections that, okay, we shouldn't be covering them? They might get someone pregnant. I mean, it opens up a whole world of
Actually,
ways.
that's exactly what Youngkin and the Republicans want. They want to regulate birth control. They want health insurance to remove either coverage of birth control or, you know, like I said, it has been said at this table many, many times. They're not pro-life, they're pro-birth.
Well, yeah. Well, think about how horrifying you could go with some of this. You know, what if they then discriminate not just women that use birth control, but what about if the insurer wanted to go after a woman who used the Plan B pill?
Right.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
that can get into really scary things. And, you know, there are already insurers trying to sue to no longer cover preventative care like PrEP and birth control and things like this to get around the Obamacare. So seeing what Youngkin is doing is absolutely horrifying. You know, he is a DeSantis light, a little wannabe DeSantis type of character. And it's sad because Virginia used to actually be pretty decent and elect some really good people. Like, I've met Dana Carone, the transgender lawmaker, really wonderful when the Dems are in power there. You know, I've met one of the last governors, what was the guy's name? He worked with Hillary Clinton. He was like the treasurer for Hillary Clinton.
Was it Warner? I don't
know. I can't remember. I forget them, but they were always good as a point.
I wanted to ask a point, you know, you're being our subject matter expert here. Well,
right.
And, you know, I'm wondering too, if you know, a right-wing move like this, you know, I would imagine, are there heterosexuals in the community that use PrEP that maybe are just not get the attention that our gay community does? I mean, it's,
and I would say absolutely,
yeah,
and especially a lot of heterosexual women.
Yes,
because you think about, you know, when you in a community and the way we are expressive sexually today, you know, and although they always like to blame the gays or the LGBTQ, we're the more sexual ones, but the statistics show that's not true. You know, that it is our heterosexual communities when it comes to the kink communities and you know, swapping partners, all that is far more prominent in our heterosexual community.
But that's the point. They are trying to frame these as like, you know, these people have sex for fun. Oh my gosh.
What a horrible concept. Yes.
You know, these, you know, for conservatives, the whole point is to discourage any kind of sexual activity unless it's strictly about missionary style procreation.
Well,
And actually, I want to ask you, since you're the national politics expert,
Allegedly.
well, anyway, how likely are these bills can overturn or veto by a vote in the legislature?
You mean
Virginia.
to overturn the Virginia? To my knowledge, the Virginia legislature is normally so razor thin each way that the governor's veto is probably going to be pretty easy to uphold. It's more of the good news is governors in Virginia are stuck to one term at a time. That's why it's hard to remember them all. And it was like Terry McAuliffe was the governor. He was like 4 governors ago because every term it has to be a new governor.
Okay.
So that's the good news is I think
I like that.
next year there'll be a new governor no matter what in Virginia.
It looks like it's going to go pretty blue,
We can hope.
hopefully.
Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.